No, in diretto c'è con quelli davanti.
Guarda piano, che fai male. Piano, piano, piano. Si fa coi soldi, si fa con la terra.
A me potevi sembrare di grigliaccia, a me però te danno per culo che mi hanno rovinato tutto il terreno.
Tu hai diritto a processare, ma io ho diritto di andare a lavorare, di andare da mangiare i miei figli. No, non lo sai.
So io che la macchina, per io quello.
L'acqua, sarà un disastro. Sarà un disastro. Disastro, voglio morire pure io. Voglio morire pure io, dai. Oh, aspetta là, no, fammi passare.
Hey guys, study after study shows that if you want strong bones and muscles, healthy hair, skin, teeth, and nails, you need the 5 types of collagen in your diet. I get mine from BioTrust. I've got a link in the description with a massive discount, and it'll tell you all about it.
My name is Savannah Hernandez, and I have been baselessly banned from Twitter 3 times after breaking national news. In 2020, when I was a 23-year-old journalist with a Twitter following of 122K, former President Donald Trump retweeted my footage of Americans peacefully singing the national anthem. That retweet resulted in almost 10 million views, and 1 week later, my entire account, which had never had any prior suspensions or warnings, was permanently deleted. Twitter didn't immediately tell me why my account was suspended, and 1 month later, they finally emailed saying that I had broken their rule on ban evasion. However, this was my only account. I have a podcast, so I decided in 2020 to start a Twitter account for my show. I then, of course, began using the account to document my on-the-ground reporting. During the 2022 NCAA Women's Swimming Championships, I interviewed the one athlete that was willing to speak out against Leah Thomas, the transgender athlete that was competing. This interview went viral, garnering almost 3 million views and made Tucker Carlson's show. 2 days later, the account was suspended for yet again ban evasion. I decided to make another account since the original excuse of ban evasion was baseless and no one at Twitter has responded to any of my requests for an appeal. This morning, my third account was deleted once again after 3 separate videos I put out this past week made national news. I went out and I asked Black Americans if the economy was really doing as well as Joe Biden has been saying. I then went to DC Pride and captured a nude trans person twerking in front of kids. Finally, I interviewed members of the Pride community regarding their pronouns. Across Twitter, these clips were seen over 4 million times, and when I woke up this morning, my account was once again suspended. This is the 3rd time that Twitter has silenced me for breaking national news and countering what the mainstream media and government are reporting to us. I'm an independent reporter that has been on the ground to cover events such as the BLM riots of 2020, the Texas border crisis, the San Francisco fentanyl crisis, homelessness in downtown LA, and even January 6th. My only goal has been to highlight the issues, voices, and on-the-ground coverage the mainstream media continues to silence and cover up, and for that, I have been censored, targeted, and effectively deleted from history. So please help me spread this message, because 2 years, multiple breaking news stories, and 3 Twitter accounts later, I still have never received an answer as to why I was and continue to be baselessly banned on Twitter's platform.
Something else we reported on was the removal and then the reinstatement of this kiss between Alicia and her wife. Disney kind of put a line in the sand saying, we're putting this back in, but also we are not going to remove it from any other territories in these places that, would have a problem with it. What did you make of the company making that decision?
I think it's great. I mean, as great as it is, and I've been asked the question a few times. It's nice and it's wonderful. It makes me happy. It's tough to not be a little frustrated that it even has to be a topic of discussion, that it is this kind of new. The goal is that we can get to a point where it is the norm.
The goal is that we can get to a point where it is the norm.
And that this doesn't have to be some, uncharted waters, that eventually this is just the way it is. That representation across the board is how we make films. And so hopefully it's an honor to be a part of something that is taking those steps, but the goal is to look back on this time and just be shocked that it took us this long to get there.
I think it's essential to have a free speech and to be able to communicate freely if there are multiple opinions, but and just make sure that we're not sort of driving a narrative. In order for people to have trust in Twitter, I think it's extremely important that there be transparency. I think Twitter, in terms of serious issues, can be a lot better in informing people about serious issues. How many times have the media gotten it right? I would say almost never. Not never, but almost never.
Can we talk briefly about your political views?
Well, my political views, I think, are moderate. I'm in favor of moderate politics. But allowing people who have relatively extreme views to express those views within the bounds of the law. It's free speech within the context of the law. So I'm definitely not suggesting that we just flout the law, because we'll get shut down in that case. And I think there's also there's freedom of speech and freedom of reach. So I think people should be allowed to say, pretty outrageous things that are within the bounds of the law, but then they don't, it doesn't get amplified. It doesn't get, a ton of reach. I think an important goal for Twitter would be to try to include as much of the country, as much of the world as possible. So the things that I've said about Twitter, I think need to happen in order for it to be, to really go to the next level. I mean, I think the potential is there for Twitter to have be accessible to an order of magnitude more people. Let's say the far left 10% and far right 10% were equally upset on Twitter, then that would probably be a good outcome. The standard is much more than not offending people. The standard should be that they're very entertained and informed.
So you probably heard the name Julian Assange, and you probably gathered from all the shouting about Julian Assange from our political class that he's some sort of international spy who hacked our computers and stole our secrets. But that's not at all what Julian Assange is or has ever been. He didn't hack anybody's computers. He's a journalist. He reprinted facts that were deeply embarrassing to our political class, the Democratic National Committee, and to, above all, the foreign policy establishment, which has an awful lot to be embarrassed of. And for doing that, the New York Times has done things like that for 100 years, no problem. Julian Assange does it? Well, he's been incarcerated for almost a decade, since the summer of 2012. He's now, for the last 2 odd years, been in maximum security prison in the UK.
It might be a good idea while you still can to convert your fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. Use my link in the description and get $100 off instantly for this survival food. Do it while you still can, because guys, I cannot guarantee that they're going to have this available in the future.